So as I spoke about yesterday, Canelo Alvarez has signed a 3-fight deal with PBC, apparently worth over $100 million. So 9 figures. That's what Teofimo Lopez was asking for a comeback. And that's what Canelo Alvarez has apparently signed. And the first fight of his 3 fights with PBC looks likely to be Jermall Charlo. Now, regardless of whether I think Charlo deserves this fight, because there are people more deserving at 168, Charlo's coming up from 160. We'll put that aside for a second and just look at the actual matchup between Canelo and Charlo. I think that an active Jermall Charlo actually has a pretty good chance of beating Canelo at this stage. Many people will not agree with me. That's okay. I'm just looking at it stylistically, taking all of the accolades and everything out of it, all the titles that Canelo Alvarez has won, all the people that he's beat in the past. I'm looking at him right now as a 30-something-year-old man with the memory of that John Ryder performance, the memory of the Bivol performance, the memory of the Golovkin trilogy performance in my head, and comparing that to the Jermall Charlo who, for example, beat Sergey Derevyanchenko. And I'm thinking, okay, Canelo is a different fighter to Derevyanchenko, but Derevyanchenko is highly skilled and he knows what he's doing. He's a similar height, I think, to Canelo Alvarez. So that helped me to visualize what Charlo and Canelo would look like in the ring. I think Canelo hits harder than Derevyanchenko. You know, there are many differences between Canelo and Derevyanchenko. I'm very well aware of that. That when I'm thinking about a fight, that's what I try and do. I try and visualize both fighters in the ring. And I like to watch video of their most recent fights to get that in my head and then match them together in the ring in my mind's eye. And as I say, I see an active Jermall Charlo having a good chance of beating Canelo. I'm not saying he knocks him out or anything like that, but Jermall Charlo is a very big, strong, athletic fighter. He's fast, he can punch. And again, look at the difference in performance between Jermall Charlo when he fought Derevyanchenko and someone like Jaime Munguia. Levels, right? Now, you could say that Canelo is another level again, but is he at his age? I don't think Canelo is over the hill past it or anything like that, but I don't think he's in his peak anymore. I think he is maybe coming over the crest a little bit, coming over the peak and going down into the valley at this point. So maybe Jermall Charlo's catching him at the right time. The only issue here, and it is a big issue, is the inactivity for Jermall Charlo. The guy's been out the ring for 2 years. And if he fights Canelo in September, it will be longer than that. Still, like 2.25 years, something like that. That is problematic. Now, Charlo is still a relatively young man. And the younger you are, generally speaking, the better you can get over ring rust. Older fighters tend to be more affected by it, generally speaking. But be that as it may, Canelo's been active. If it was a case of them both being inactive, it kind of evens it up or maybe favors Charlo because I think he's a bit younger than Canelo, slightly. But no, in this instance, Canelo's been very active. Charlo's been very inactive. That would make me lean towards Canelo more heavily than normal, okay? If it was an active Charlo, I might lean towards Canelo 55-45. But with an inactive Charlo, you can knock off 5% at least from Charlo's chances, in my estimation, maybe even 10%. But if they fight and Charlo wins, I'm not going to be shocked. Because as I say, stylistically, I can see how Jermall Charlo can do it. I can see how he could cause Canelo problems with that size and the power and all that kind of thing. I mean, when Canelo lost to Dimitri Bivol, people were talking about it being a step too far for Canelo. Up there against these light heavyweights, he just can't put the same kind of dent in them that he can put at super middleweights. Well, realistically speaking, is Jermall Charlo any smaller than Dimitri Bivol? Because I wouldn't at all be surprised if they're about the same weight when they're in the ring. Jermall Charlo's massive at middleweight. He was even bigger, obviously, relatively speaking, as a light middleweight. Have a look at Jermall Charlo standing next to certain light heavyweights. He looks the same size or bigger than them. I mean, God only knows how these guys manage to get down to these unnaturally low weights for weigh-ins and stuff like that. It is crazy. in this day and age. But yeah, the physical strength and the punch resistance that Canelo encountered against Dimitri Bivol, he might encounter something similar against Charlo. Now, Charlo doesn't have the skills, the balance, the footwork of a Dimitri Bivol. He's got skills, he's got balance, and he's got footwork, but it's not on the level of Bivol. We know that. It doesn't necessarily have to be to beat Canelo Alvarez. He might be able to do it in a close fight. At the end of the day, Canelo going over to PBC to fight a Jermall Charlo, it's not like Canelo's going to be protected in that situation, in my estimation, because Charlo is an unbeaten PBC fighter who they've been, bringing up over the years, trying to turn into a star. It would suit PBC if Jermall Charlo beat Canelo, because presumably Jermall Charlo is locked in for a much longer term than Canelo is. That's certainly been his history, right? He's been with PBC forever, him and his brother. So the politics of the situation might actually favor Charlo. I'm not saying they would necessarily rob Canelo. I don't think they'd do that. But I don't think they'd do him any favors on the scorecards. Yeah? And you could say the same thing with Dimitri Bivol, obviously, on DAZN. Maybe that was an example of it. So, yeah, that's my take on Canelo Alvarez potentially facing Jermall Charlo in his first fight back. Yes, I think Canelo has to be the favorite, particularly given the inactivity of Charlo. But stylistically, I can see how Charlo does it with the physical attributes he has, the strength. I'm not sure what kind of impact Canelo's punches would have on Charlo. See, the thing that does, from a Charlo perspective, look a bit ominous, Charlo will punch with you, but at times he will give you that guard and allow you to get shots off. Canelo Alvarez is a guy who will take those opportunities. When you stand there against the ropes, put your guard up, oh, he's going to wail away. He's going to hit you in the body. He's going to take advantage of them situations, and he's a short guy who can duck underneath the counters and whatnot. So yeah, I can see issues stylistically for Charlo as well. But anyway, I'm going around in circles at this point. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'll leave it there. Are you sick and tired of the mainstream mindset? Does the dogmatic conformity and pathological ignorance have you tearing your hair out in frustration? Then don't be alone. Come and join our brotherhood on Patreon. We stand as a beacon of reason against an army of insanity. You'll gain access to my weekly topical podcast, where we take more deep dives than Jacques Cousteau on an endless variety of subjects. There's also videos, interviews, live Q&As, as well as a vast back catalogue of previous episodes, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen via the Patreon app or download in high-quality MP3. Connect with myself and hundreds of other members in our Element chat group. There's no contract, no commitment, you can cancel at any time, and it's cheaper than a Mickey D's McMuffin. Just head to my Patreon page via the link below this video and select the tier called the Brotherhood of Reason. I'll see you over there.